once again, my friends, and now it's time to talk freely about The Legend of Tarzan. This is the spoilers review, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, please click right here or in the link in the description below to go check out my spoilers-free movie review. Right now we're going to fully discuss the movie, we're going to talk spoilers, so beware and only watch this if you haven't watched the movie or if you do not care about spoilers at all. Let's start with the most important element of this movie. Of course, it's always the director, but in this particular case, it was Alexander Skarsgård as Tarzan. As I told you in my previous spoilers-free review, it was hard for me at first to buy him as Tarzan, but after a while and after thinking about what I felt watching him play the character, it made sense that it was so hard for me to buy him. This guy has been John Clayton III, or tried to be, for the past 10 years of his life. He has embraced the fact that he's a man, and now he's a civilized man that lives in London amongst society, in a high sophisticated society. So it makes sense that this guy does not embrace his animal side. However, there are many subtle hints throughout this movie that bring the character to life, and I really enjoyed that, both in a story-wise perspective and in a character construction perspective, as well as the performance from Alexander Skarsgård. The first hint you get at this is when he gets home after work, after talking with Samuel L. Jackson's character, and he goes to Jane to tell her that he needs to go to the Congo, and he talks to the kids about how being raised in the jungle with the apes and walking with them as they walk changed his bone structure, and his hands are now much more thicker than any other man's, and he's more easily adaptable to other means of walking. And one other very important aspect of that is his connection to the animals and to the jungle itself. And you see that when he gets to the Congo, and the first creatures he meets and greets are animals. He meets these lionesses and he greets them because he knew them since they were cubs, and they remember him because of that connection. And then you have the element of the Legend of Tarzan, when they are around the campfire with the villagers from the Cuba, and then they tell the story and they sing about the Legend of Tarzan. Now, he was supposed to be this evil spirit that connected the jungle and then haunted at night, but no, he was a savior, a guardian of the Mangani and of the jungle itself, protecting the animals. When I told you that I like the story perspective of this construction for the character of Tarzan, notice how we see much more of the man in the beginning of the movie, and increasingly we see more of the legend that is Tarzan. Much more we get away from the humans and into the depths of the jungle. After a while, immediately after the fight with Akut, his former brother, the gorilla, you see much more of the action happening amongst the trees. And then you have that shootout with the gorillas where Ram's men kill them all as he's going after Jane. It's completely a massacre, and I hate that because if you are an animal lover, you cannot watch that. And those scenes also help strengthening the character of Tarzan and his connection to the jungle, because after that, the animals ally finally themselves with him as he goes down to the Boma port to stop the boat from going out to save Jane, and he sends on the wildebeests along with the coot and one of the lions, and Samuel L. Jackson as well. The character of Tarzan was very well portrayed and transported into this movie form. I enjoyed the performance, I enjoyed the evolution of the character, I enjoyed every single aspect of the character of Tarzan, and the more I think about it, the more I enjoy it. Margot Robbie as Jane Porter / Clayton. Whew, Margot Robbie. Wow. She was great right in the beginning. She wants to go to Africa. She's not letting her husband go alone, but she also wants to go back. And I immediately thought that was strange. And in this movie, she was raised in the jungle as well. Well, not really the jungle. She was raised in a village because her father was a teacher of the English language there, and she was raised with these villagers. She has this deep friendship, and that was how she got lost in the jungle and found Tarzan. And you know what? I actually like that. I'm not saying I like that more than how it was written in the original stories, but it is a good change. It is a change that makes sense. How these characters even meet, and how Jane have chosen to stay in the jungle and not lose everything. She was a girl who was always raised in that village, but knew she belonged in society, and then she took Tarzan with her and he became the man he was supposed to be, Lord Greystoke, John Clayton III. I love her scene at the dinner table with Rom when she gets taken and how she tries at every opportunity to stab him or to get out of there. And in those scenes, Rom shows who he truly is and how big of a menace he can be. I love when she finally escapes, she immediately goes to the jungle, but then she remembers and we have that flashback of Tarzan saving her from a gorilla and nearly dying. And I love how that element comes back for the construction of the character of Tarzan and the evolution of the character of Jane Porter. One thing that is also really important, I just remembered now, is the mating call sequence. It could have really been silly, but guess what? It wasn't, and it came back at the end of the movie to kill Rom. I really loved Jane in this movie. She was such a great character. I wouldn't say I want a spin-off of Jane Porter, but I really want a sequel exploring more of their relationship because they didn't have those many scenes together. That is a gripe I have, I could say. Those scenes they had together weren't really needed in this movie, and I like that we saw both these characters apart, but they were both doing something. They have so many things in common. Both are resourceful, both are natural born fighters. I like that these characters could handle themselves alone as they were apart from each other, but they were fighting back to get back together. Let's talk about Samuel L. Jackson and what he represents in this movie, because from beginning to end, you see that this guy is the representation as a character of Tarzan's man side. He's the guy who convinces him to go back to the jungle, but then he's that human constant always in the movie that does not let Tarzan take that one step into becoming a full 100% animal once more. From the moment he saves him when he's getting taken by Rom to the last moment when he stops him from killing Mumbata, he's the civilized part of Tarzan's DNA. I really enjoyed this character so much. I like how he had this buddy cop element in some part of the adventure of Tarzan and George Washington Williams. He did his part, but he also learned something from Tarzan. As big of a veteran from wars and battles as he was not this know-it-all guy, and he actually reminded me of Robert Shaw's Quint from Jaws. Tell me please if I'm the only one, because I really enjoyed this character. He was truly that veteran that knew so much, but at the same time he could learn as he was finding himself in all these new types of situations and adversities. Let's talk about Christoph Waltz's Rom. As I told you in my spoilers-free movie review, I did not like his performance as much as I liked the character, and that is a really tricky thing. You look at Christoph Waltz, he is a good actor, he had a good performance. I'm not saying he had a bad performance whatsoever, but you can see that he's not 100% into it. Casper Crump, Vandal Savage, who was in this movie, he could have played Rom and would have been the same. Probably would have been better because he would have been 100% into this, and he would have brought something special into the role, because as a character, there's so much to this guy. You can see that he's a fighter and he has this dialogue how he came from nothing and became the king's first commander. The guy was sent on a mission to the king's main colony to get the diamonds and make his king become even more of a rich man. And then he has that crucifix that he carries around. You see this guy can handle himself if he needs to. He's a serious threat. Just like he shows in the beginning against Mumbata's tribe, then shows against Jane Porter, then he nearly chokes Tarzan out. This guy was a serious menace. As a character, there were much more aspects to explore to him. But then he gets nothing. Whatever gets shown of this character is only the surface, and it's actually a disappointment, and that is why he was not a great villain in the end. Same goes for Mumbata. Jimo Noso, one of the all-time's most underused actors in Hollywood. I would have loved to see more of his tribe. I would have loved to see flashbacks with him and his son, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I like his tribe, they were badasses, and he himself, for the little screen time he had, was also a big badass. But the final fight scene he has with Tarzan, and he's supposed to have all that emotional weight behind it, and then it falls flat. Why? Because he didn't have any scenes with Tarzan before. Instead of just waiting for Rom to get Tarzan, Mumbata could have been out in the jungle, even fighting the gorillas or threatening some of them, because apparently he did not care about animals, and he could have been on the search for Tarzan as he knew Tarzan was in the jungle at that moment. It was actually really disappointing to get only that quick fight scene that nobody won, and after that we didn't see any more of Mumbata. Now let's talk about what I hate about this. Mumbata wants Tarzan because Tarzan killed his son. Why did Tarzan kill his son? Because Mumbata's son killed Kala, Tarzan's mother. And why? Because that is some kind of rite of passage in Mombata's tribe. Now, when Tarzan tells him this, Mombata replies, "It was just an animal." And I do have a big problem with that. And trust me, it doesn't have anything to do with being an animal lover. It's the fact that you live in the jungle amongst animals. I understand having a rite of passages, I understand having to kill animals to eat, but I do not understand living in the jungle amongst the animals by choice at that point in time, calling animals just animals. I do have a big problem with that. And then Tarzan saying he had no honor. As soon as Tarzan told him that Kala was his mother, there had to be one nerve in Mombata's synapses that connected that dot, saying, I understand how we would consider her your mother. I really did have a big problem with that, and actually not seeing Mombata or his tribe after that really helped me digest it. But still, it is a really big gripe. Let's talk about the CGI. It was good for the whole movie, but then we get to the Balma port and the wildebeest stampede, and all those shots were so confusing. Good CGI, bad CGI, really bad CGI, good CGI again, really bad CGI once more, bad CGI just a little better than before, and then good CGI again. Whenever there were wide shots from the sky or from the side, seeing all the wildebeests, it looked good. Whenever they were on close-ups, it looked horrifically bad. It was a shame that it looked that bad on such a great movie, and one movie that, till that point, the CGI was great. From the fight Tarzan has with the coot, when he greets the lions, when he puts his hands on the elephants, everything looked great. And after that, in the end, when Tarzan is swinging on the trees with the gorillas, it was really good CGI. And then in that scene, I don't know if they don't like wildebeests, the makers of this movie, but it really did look awful. Even the alligators looked great. Let's talk a little bit about the fight scenes. I really enjoy the fight scenes. They all are great. And both the styles I mentioned in my spoilers-free movie review are really good styles. I'm not saying one style is better than the other or one style is bad and another is good. They're both really great styles. Two of the styles that you should film a fight scene. But it really did not mix well how you mix those two types so quickly and with so many cuts. It was really jarring and confusing, the mixing of those two good fight scene filming styles. The flashbacks are so interesting and the cinematography in those is so haunting that it really grabs you onto that story, and then following this story with a generic Belgian villain and not following either the Mombata story or the flashback story really makes you wish that you did, because those stories become so much more just in the quick scenes that we get from them. It is jarring how they did not choose to follow either one of those against the Rom storyline. Going back to Rom a little bit, I really had a problem that we start this movie about the legend of Tarzan with the villain after the legend of Tarzan is basically dead. It really at first made you feel like Tarzan was being used as a mere plot point in this movie, and at first I really took offense to that, but then came in George Washington Williams to save the day. Tarzan is not nearly as good of a movie as I wanted or as I was expecting, but it is in no part of the multiverse a bad movie. Tarzan is a good movie, and I do hope it makes money. Please give your money to this movie. It is a good movie. It deserves the money, so it might have a sequel that they put 110% on and make it a great movie. Tarzan will not be on my top 10 best movies of 2016, but it will surely be on my Blu-ray collection once I make another video for you guys. But those are all the spoilers I'm remembering to talk about The Legend of Tarzan. Let me know your thoughts on the movie, fully discuss it in the comments below. Be at ease, we are free to spoil everything about The Legend of Tarzan. And guys, we are only 5 subscribers away from 200 subs. Let me know which type of video I should make to celebrate this phenomenal achievement on both our parts. Thank you so much to all who subscribed until this day, for following me, for creating this beautiful geeky community we have right here. Let me know if you watch The Legend of Tarzan. Let me know what I should do to celebrate 200 subs, and you're still in time to send me your questions for my Legend of Tarzan Q&A. You can ask me questions about anything, just remember to ask them by hashtagging Legend of Tarzan Q&A. The Q&A will be launched tomorrow, and after that, my BFG spoilers review. So stay tuned for that. And next week, Star Wars Celebration, my friends. It's coming, and I'll be in London. So if you are there, message me, tell me in the comments, let me know, and we should probably meet up and hang out at the greatest celebration in the galaxy. And if you haven't heard yet, there'll be a link to a very special video right here. Thank you so much for watching my Legend of Tarzan spoilers review. Go back and watch the spoilers-free review if you haven't. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, send this channel and this video to your friends, family, and enemies. Send it to them all. Let them come and join our beautiful geeky community. And we can be geeky, united. And I will see you in all the reviews and videos from Star Wars Celebration this coming week. Cheers.